Hey guys, all the time I see whenever I go to like a sporting goods store, I always see different disaster supplies there, and they always have things like unique kinds of knives, and they have like indestructible flashlights, and they have like tools that have like 16 things on there. So today, when I talk about the long-term elements on the personal pocket, so the third pocket, that's the personal side. When I'm talking about long-term, I want to think about some of the things that are going to be useful to you, and I want to help you to discern stuff that maybe you don't need so much. So these are some of the basic tools that we've all heard about, and how some of them are going to be important and some of them are just simply going to take up way too much space. The first thing that I recommend to everybody is you need to have a knife of some kind. And you don't have to have a long Bowie knife. You need to have a pocket knife of some kind. You'd be amazed at how useful these things are in long-term disaster situations. And not saying you're going to use the knife for personal protection. It's not really designed for that, although you could use it if you had to. Really, it's more designed for as an all-purpose knife. When I'm talking about a knife, like I'm talking about a utility knife that you can use to cut rope, things that you can use to cut tape, something that you can use if you need it, whenever you're cutting things away, whatever it is. It can be so useful even with a first aid kit. So having a nice little pocket knife is so important to be able to do. It should be a foldable knife, and you should be able to stick it right in your disaster backpack. The second thing is rope. And when I talk about rope, sometimes I do this. I'll be talking to people about rope, and one time I was at a school, and there was a woman whose husband was an expert skydiving instructor, and he gave her like parachute cord. It was like this huge set of parachuting cord that she'd placed in there. And I told her, I said, you don't need nearly that much. So one of the things I'm going to tell you is if they give you a huge bunch of rope, toss it out. You can get a really small braided rope. It'll be pre-braided, and it should be nice and thin. It's like a parachute cord, but it is very, very small. It should be such you can actually carry it in your hand. And you should put that directly in your disaster kit. Rope is so important. It can be used as a clothesline. It can be used to tie things together. It can be used in a variety of things you can actually utilize in a disaster. You'd be amazed at how much utility those things tend to have. The other thing is to have really good tape. And I don't want you to go out and buy these really thick duct tapes, because I've seen those before. I look in disaster backpacks, they have this big, thick duct tape. You don't need that. Get a really, really small amount of Gorilla Tape or duct tape. I use Gorilla Tape because I like its tensile strength, meaning what I can do with it is I can pull it, and then if I cut the end off with a knife, I can roll it together, and actually that acts as almost a rope by itself, because the tensile strength, meaning the strength if I have to pull it, actually maintains it without actually tearing. So having that really good tape is a big deal. Tape is great. Tape is all useful. I was a MacGyver fan when I was a little boy. I loved MacGyver and ice cream, you can tell. Those are my two things that I really enjoyed. And I used to watch MacGyver while I was eating ice cream a lot of times. And so MacGyver always had duct tape on him at all times. I don't know how in the world he carried it around, but he believed in it. And when I became a disaster professional, I really realized that tape can be used to obviously hold things back, cinch up something that is obviously torn. You even can use it if you have to in first aid situations as a way of holding bandages down. So if you have a bandage on it and you have to tape it around, so tape is going to be really, really important. Another item that go in your personal are batteries. You've got to have batteries, extra batteries, but don't just throw tons of batteries in there. I've seen this done way too often. It is a big mistake. What I want you to do is figure out what kind of batteries do you need. So look at your weather radio, look at the other radios. If you've got walkie-talkies, whatever you did, look at those and get those batteries. You don't need to get, a bunch of, D batteries and other batteries you're not gonna, that don't fit any of the things you're using. So get the right kind of batteries, because first of all, they're heavy. Second of all, they can leak over time. And then third, there's really no point to even having them unless they work exactly for what you need. So there's no point in having 3 batteries you can use and then 3 more you don't use, and you're carrying them around anyway. So get the right kinds of batteries for your backpack. You also do want to have something that is a small toolkit. One of these all-purpose toolkits that you can get will actually fit really well into the backpack because they're small enough They'll have a little screwdriver, they'll have a little scissors, they'll have screwdrivers, it'll have a Phillips head, and it'll also have a flathead. It'll have a corkscrew. However, the one warning I give you is if you're going to buy these, remember, you need to try them out first. Try them out at home. Make sure the can opener really works. Make sure the bottle cap opener really works. Make sure it doesn't break. These are things that these do happen during disasters. People buy these, expensive toolkits, and then they actually have it and they say, well, look, this is like a Swiss Army thing, and it's got like 50 different things on there, and I don't even know what they all do. And then what I say to people is that's useless because you don't know anything about it. You don't know how it's supposed to work. So make sure that whatever one you buy, you have tried out every single one of those tools at home. Those are the things that you need, because if you don't have a toolkit that actually works, then when you're trying to rely on it, all of a sudden something's going to happen, and then it's going to be a situation where you're not going to be able to use it. Or, and this is really common, they've never used it before, so they have no idea how any of this stuff is actually supposed to work. So get a really good toolkit. So rope, tape, a knife, and a toolkit, a small toolkit of some kind. Those 4 things are going to be great personal tools. Don't try to get these military style things unless you live out in the wilderness. For example, when I go out, I have a long K-bar knife that I specifically have had designed for my hand so that I make sure that when I've used it, that it's useful whenever I'm out there. But I don't keep a K-bar knife with me when I'm doing urban disaster preparedness, because you don't need that, right? So you need something that can be able to cut. You have something that can be able to tape and cover things up. You have something that you can use a rope because you have to tie things together. And then you have a toolkit that you can use anywhere, no matter what you're dealing with, whether it's your car, your house, or you're just doing a basic repair on something wherever you happen to find yourself. These are all things you can use in the near term, no matter what disaster you are facing. This is Disaster Patrick, and remember, prepare for a disaster and you'll never experience one.